Alright guys, this is Firestarter 12. It's going over substitution. That's an Algebra 1 concept. It's solving for two variables in two equations. Remember, this post-test study guide's going over kind of when I made this class to start the year, what I thought we'd cover throughout the year. Sometimes things we did, some things we didn't. That's why we're doing the study guide first, kind of going over it. So some of this will be reviews, some of it might be reteaching, some of it might be new ideas. But a lot of us probably have seen substitution before. So substitution, I put the steps over here. Step 1, I want to pick a variable to get by itself. Alright, so I want to pick a variable to get by itself. I look at the variables. Look, x is already by itself. So step 1's already done for me. And I'm going to sub the expression into the other equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 2, I'm going to plug it in for x in the top equation. So I'm going to rewrite the top equation. It's going to become 3 instead of x I put 2, plus 4, I don't know why, equals negative 14. The reason I want to do this, guys, is now I have one equation with one variable. All right, that's important. I want to have one equation with one variable. So one equation, one variable. Because if that's true, then I can use PEMDAS backwards. So I'm going to simplify it a little bit. I get 3 times 2 to get 6. 6 plus 4y equals negative 14. Now I'm just using PEMDAS backwards. Okay, get rid of the 6 first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 6 from both sides. I get 4y equals negative 20. Now I divide both sides by 4. So I have 4y equals negative 20. I don't know why I wrote negative 12. I'm just trying to annoy myself to this morning. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 4 because that's how I get rid of the multiplication. I end up with y equals, it should be negative 20, so it should be negative 5. So I'm checking my steps here. I picked a variable to get by itself. That was x. It was already by itself, so they did that for me. I sub 2 into the other equation. I solved that equation. Now because I already have an answer for x, I don't even have to do any more work. If I really wanted to, I could plug in 5 for y in the top equation and then get x, but I'm not going to. And the last thing that everybody always forgets is to write your x and y as an order pair. Because remember, your solution is not just x is 2 and y equals negative 5. It is, when they are together, that x is 2 only if at the same exact time y is 5. So that's your solution. Alright, number 2 is a little bit harder, but it's the same exact concept. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to pick a variable to get by itself. I'm going to look at these 4 variables. So look, I got 7x here, negative 2y there, x, and 2y. I notice that this x is already by itself, so that's going to be what I use for step 1. So I'm going to say pick the variable to get by itself. I'm picking the bottom x, because it's already by itself. Which means I'm going to take 2y plus 9, I'm going to plug it in for x. So x is going to leave the top equation. So when I'm going to rewrite this top equation. 7, instead of x, I put an empty set of parentheses, minus 2y equals negative 9. Alright, so look, x left the top equation. Now, 2y plus 9 is going to come into its spot. So I put 2y plus 9. Alright. Now, I have to solve this recorded equation. Before I can do any PEMDAS backwards, I have to get one variable. Remember, I want one variable, one equation. So I'm going to do some simplifying first. I'm going to take this 7, I'm going to distribute it first. And usually, guys, when you do substitution, there's going to be some sort of distributive property. The most common mistake I will see algebraically is somebody's going to forget to take 7 times 9 and give me 63. They'll do 7 times 2y, but they'll forget to do it times 9. I get minus 2y equals negative 9. Now I'm going to combine my like terms, so I get 12y plus 63 equals negative 9. Now I can do PEMDAS backwards. So remember PEMDAS backwards. The keyword today is going to be pop goes the weasel. Keyword is pop goes the weasel. So addition, subtraction. undo each other, multiplication and division undo each other, and we're not really worried about exponents in this case. So I see addition, I see add 63. That's why I'm minus 63 from both sides, because they undo each other. They're inverse operations. All right, so now I end up with 12y equals negative 72. Now I have to get rid of my multiplication, because 12 times y is equals negative 72, so I divide both sides by 12. Negative 72 divided by 12, I end up with y equals negative 6. I'm going to write that a little better. That's my first answer. So once I get that, I'm going to sub my answer. I'm going to take negative 6 right here. I'm going to plug it into either the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter. So I could take negative 6 right here. I could plug it in here for y, or I could plug it in here for y. I personally always like to use the one I started with, so I kind of bounce back and forth. I started with the bottom one, all right, then I solved it. I got an answer. All right, started with the bottom, I plugged in the top. Now I'm going to take negative 6 and plug it back into the bottom. But it doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer either way. So this one is completely up to you. So I'm going to take negative 6 right here. Negative 6. I'm going to plug that in for y over there. So I'm going to have x equals 2 instead of y. I'm going to put negative 6. So instead of y, I'm going to put negative 6. Now it's just a simple. This one's actually really easy. It's just simplifying. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Negative 12 plus 9 is negative 3. So now that I have an x and I have a y, most people, like I said, will forget this last step, which says write as an ordered pair. So my final answer is actually the ordered pair, negative 3, 6. Remember, with an ordered pair, you always write x first, then y.